What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we are going to be looking at 3 bargain or steals free agents that the Detroit Lions could pick up this offseason. So let's get started. Premise to all these 3 players, they're cheaper contracts, yet they have the potential to be very impact players for the Detroit Lions in places of needs. However, there's always going to be a risk. That's why they're cheap, because if there was no risk and they were just really good players, then obviously they wouldn't be cheap. So you kind of just gotta, there's a risk reward. There definitely is a risk reward, and I thought we'd go over this because we go over the expensive ones all the time. Let's say we opened up that wallet and there's only $3. Okay, maybe not $3. Okay, unless you're trying to get Mitchell Trubisky. I'm sorry, that was a joke. Anyways, let's just move on. I'm a Lions fan. Anyway, okay, stop. First off, we have Tony Jefferson, the safety. And Tony Jefferson is really interesting to me because he is a veteran safety that would help out with some of our young guys. We have Tracy Walker, we have Will Harris. I think a veteran safety would fit in perfectly. He's 28 years old, and the one concern is he had an ACL injury or like a knee injury or something last season that actually ended the season for him, which is super unfortunate. But before that, he has not had a significant injury. So the hope is that as long as that doesn't come back and he's healed, then he'll be good to go. However, we know the ACL injury can be something that's very dangerous, but, risk reward. Once again, even if you sign him, he gets hurt, at least it's a cheap deal. He was cut by the Ravens, so yeah, the contract is expected to be cheap. However, he's a very good tackling safety, which kind of sells to me, right? That's kind of what I'm looking for. A safety that can tackle. Cover safeties are great. However, if you can tackle at the safety position, I really like you. He's solid. He's not bad. I'll get into the coverage numbers as well, but he's a really good tackling safety. He's actually rated 98 per Pro Football Focus against the run out of his position. Some people say he would be a monster in the nickel defense, which we run. So, telling you guys, this is a great fit for us. And if he can be healthy, he would be great with some of the younger safeties to help them continue to get experience. And it would mean that we wouldn't have to go in the draft and grab a third one, because I do think we need another safety with the defense that we do run. I decided to compare his coverage numbers to Tracy Walker to kind of keep it fair and give you guys a good feeling of where we are. However, or where Tony Jefferson is. However, like I said, in 2019, he had that knee-ending injury, which pretty much kept him out for the entire year. He only played in a few games. So I'm not going to look at those stats. We're going to go back to 2018, the year before, when he played pretty much all of the games, and we'll compare that to Tracy Walker's last season. So, Tony Jefferson up first. He allowed 60.5 completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, and a 91 passer rating. However, Tracy Walker allowed 64.9% completion percentage, 5 touchdowns, and 117 passer rating. So you can see statistically, he's actually a better coverage safety than Tracy Walker was last season. Now, obviously, if you're in a better defense, then yeah. If you have the worst pass rush in the league, I'm not saying Tracy Walker's bad. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I am saying, though, he's a solid player, and he can fit in as a veteran experience. He comes in at number 1. How about at number 2? The second guy I have here is Aaron Lynch, the defensive end out of Chicago. Okay, this one may be more of a reach, but again, risk reward, and this is more of a potential kind of guy. This is a guy that I see that at one point was there, and he's not too old to the point where I don't think he could get back there, and if he can get back there, you would have an absolute steal in your hand. However, you don't know. He looks like a defensive end that could be depth for us, but he also could play the linebacker position in the 3-4, so, he's got the versatility, which I do like. He only played 23% of the snaps last year for Chicago, so he didn't have much of an opportunity, hasn't had much of an opportunity recently. However, with the Lions, I can see that bump up to like 30-40% of the snaps, and he could have more of a potential to make a lot more plays in this Lions defense. In his first 2 seasons, he actually had 12.5 sacks combined. 12.5 sacks in 30 games. That's really, really good. That's the potential I'm talking about. He's not there anymore. Hasn't had the opportunities. But in those first 2 years, he was balling out. And I think if he could somehow get near that, we would have a steal. And if he doesn't, okay, oh well, you didn't spend a lot of money. That's why he's a risky player. He was suspended at one point, and that's something to keep an eye on. I found out why he was suspended. I guess, they do drug testing, and he had too much water, so it was unreadable. Sometimes players do that because they just need to hydrate. Other times they do it because they're trying to get something out of their system. So in that case, it's called a failed drug test when it's unreadable. So, he failed it because it was unreadable. And the 49ers said they were sad, or I think it was the 49ers. They said they were sad that this happened, but they believe he learned from it. And he was a very young player. So hopefully he doesn't do that stuff anymore. It doesn't sound like he does. Back when he was really good, he was actually ranked 5th in the 3-4 linebacking pass rush efficiency. So yeah, he was really good at one point. If he can get back to that, it would be another nice steal for the Detroit Lions. Now, before we get into my last player, let me give some honorable mentions. Andrew Billings, and also, who's my other guy? I had another guy on here. And I'm sorry, guys. I have it all wrote. I like to write stuff. I don't like to type as much. Andrew Billings and Chris Baker. Now, if you guys have other ones, obviously comment below. Now, I will say about Andrew Billings, I can't remember who it was, but if you're watching this video, you could probably remember we were talking about defensive tackles. This made me think of you when I thought about Andrew Billings because you brought him up. So I would say, hey, you know, he's an honorable mention. I kind of threw him in for you. So if you know who you are, let me know in the comments. Remember, we're talking about tackles. Okay, move on. The last player I have on this list is someone that I actually wanted to sign last year, but we didn't because the Chiefs did. You may know who it is Bashaud Breeland. Bashaud Breeland is a cornerback that, like I said, signed a one-year deal with the Chiefs last season, coming from the Packers, and I really wanted Bashaud Breeland. I thought he'd be a nice depth kind of guy. We got Amani, and, you know, it worked itself out. But I did like Breeland, and I still do for the Lions, especially this season, depending on what happens at that cornerback spot, or even if we keep Slay for depth. Cornerback could be a good place to look. He failed trying to sign a contract with the team, I guess, at one point. I think it was back with the Panthers when he was trying to sign with the Panthers because of an injury. So, yes, injuries all around. However, he has seemed to bounce back a little bit because last season he did play in 15 games, so he seems to be okay. And statistically, he's very good. He's consistent. 2 interceptions. And when you look at his advanced stats, 2018, only 7 games, 51% completion percentage allowed, 0 touchdowns, and a 49 passer rating allowed in half of the season. Not too bad. However, last season in 15 games, still pretty good. Only allowed 48% completion percentage, 5 touchdowns, and a 92 rating. Now, obviously, the Chiefs get a lot more pressure. They had 43 sacks last season, or 28, so 15 more sacks are going to be a lot better. But I will say, this is a guy that's a really good corner that was on a cheap deal last season, about $1.1 million. That's it for a one-year deal. That's like Rashawn Melvin money. We could bring this guy in for Rashawn Melvin money. Yes, do it. I would love it. Those are my 3 bargain or steals that the Lions can pick up in free agency. If you guys have any other ones you would add, let me know in the comments below. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'm out.